Good morning, guys. I'm sorry that I probably sound completely sick. It's because I am, and I haven't been doing videos because I am actually very sick, and I am trying to at least keep my voice for something. Um, However, I had four uh, new things to do. Three of them are inboxes, and one of them was a comment. Um, and I think I'm going to start with one of the longest inboxes so far that I've gotten. It happens to actually be about a really, really bad situation. Um, it was talking about, in the first part of the message, this person says that I'm doing great things and I don't expect any thanks from you guys. Please. Um, but it goes on to say that my 15-year-old stepdaughter just got out of a week just got out a week or two ago from a mental hospital stay. She is living with her father in Ohio. We are trying to get custody of her in Virginia. We have found out that she was raped by her brother 6 years ago. Brother is 19 years old now and he admits to it. Julie has a pill suicide. Does that require attention? She has attempted a year ago and she has cutting issues since I have known her. We are slowly learning more disturbing details as Julie is talking to her mother. Um, Now more than the ugly fact is out, than the light is now. Mother's emotions are torn. She loves her son, hates the choices he made years ago. I'm rambling now, and maybe I'll personal message you about this more later. Um, so because, like I said in my previous videos, I'm just a psychology student, I don't exactly per se deal with this kind of case yet, um, because that is a lot of mental damage, and that is years and years and years that you have to get back. However, I did ask two professional psychologists. One is actually my teacher at the school, and I gave her the scenario. I didn't actually show her the message. And she said, well, first, the thing that you need to do is this person would need to get a lot of mental help. Um, there's a special site for psychologists that she would be able to get mental help. And in that place, excuse me, in that place, um, she'd get all the help that she'd ever need, and it would kind of rebuild her brain. It's a lot of sessions and a lot of counseling to get through this. But I mean, I've never ever had a friend who has been raped by their brother years ago. I mean, I know a few people that have been raped, and but it wasn't by their brother in per se. However, it still kind of mentally damages the brain. One of my friends actually can't be with a guy alone because that has damaged her so much. So think about if it was a brother and it had been happening for years at a time, especially when she was a very young kid. Plus all this other cutting issues and everything. I have friends who cut, um, and the most important thing you can do is tell them that you're there for them and that they have to do it on their own. You can't force them to do anything. The more you try to force it, the worse it gets. Sorry, I can't really talk this morning. I'm trying to think. I promise, guys, I'm trying. With all of my subscribers and all of my and all of my views on these videos, I am really trying. Um, so I don't know like the full details on all the other stories, but pretty much she has to come out of this on her own. It's going to be a very long and hard process, and you have to do your best to stay as far back from it as possible. And the way to stay as far back as possible is to just simply, you know, let her work this out. If she needs to be upset and go do something, then let her be upset. I mean, but the absolute worst thing that you can do is if you're out in public and something happens, the worst thing you can do is feel embarrassed. Because then she's just going to feel even worse, and it's going to force her to do the stuff that you don't want her to do. I totally understand the custody issue too. I mean, my cousin is going under a bunch of custody right now, and he's over here in Pennsylvania, and he had just, he was taken away from his mom. So I understand that issue. um, but so far that I know, he's never gone through this kind of stuff. So I'm very sorry that that's happening, and I really hope that she gets better. And I really think that you're doing a really great thing by trying to help her, because honestly, I think that she needs a little bit more than family right now, if you ask me. So now we're going to switch it over to a comment. And she commented, my friends started saying that I should if they comment, I should share their names. Her name was Anna Russell, and it was a day ago, and it was on my loss of a best friend, death, and spouses. And she said, I'm not sure if you're still doing this, but I hope you are, because no one has been able to help me so far. I've watched all your videos, and most people think that I'm a fool because of this problem, but here it goes. I've been with this guy on and off for years. I'm madly in love with him, and I want us to be more than just on and off again lovers. However, he doesn't seem to want to make even the smallest commitment to me. Is there anything you can do for me? Well, honestly, because I don't know the guy, it's hard to say. Because, like it or not, guys do often have... It's now, as I read earlier in my book, it's a read study that guys sometimes have more commitment issues than women do. And it's not because they don't want to be with the person, it's because the pressure and because of and all of that stuff, everything else. That's why most of the time you see guys single and doing things all over the place. But I mean, honestly, I have no problem with commitment issues, but that's just me. I do know a lot of guys who are very, 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 very touchy on commitment issues. For example, I have a best friend whose name is Danny Ornjek. Sorry that my cam went wonky for a second. I do, quote him on Tumblr from time to time. But him and I met a long, long time ago, and for some reason, when he actually starts dating a girl, he dates her for a while, then he'll be off. Then he'll come back, then he'll be off again. Then he'll come back again, and he'll be off again. Sometimes guys are just like that. Actually, if I'm 100% honest, there's only one guy in my life that I have met that is not like that. And, he's actually my best friend. However, most of the guys that I know are usually off and on, off and on, off and on. It's hard to explain because it depends on what happened in the past. Like, for example, I should have commitment issues because I was hurt, like, over and over and over again in the past. And the guys, it's kind of a 50-50 with them, because sometimes, on the one hand, they have 50%, they have a really bad past, and then that's why they have the commitment issues. And then on the other hand, they've never really taken commitment, and they've never really done anything very, very serious. So that's also another reason why they have commitment issues. I don't know, it's really hard to say, because you have to work with him as best you can to get... If he does love you, how about I put it this way? If he does love you, he'll say that he loves you. And if he wants a relationship with you, let him take his time. One day he'll ask you. If he says he loves you, then he'll definitely ask you out one day. Sometimes it takes time, sometimes it doesn't. But most people have to be patient. That's the one thing that we aren't good with. I will be honest with that. However, that goes into my next inbox, which happens to be Austin, I am living with my fiance right now. Sorry. And I go to work from 9 o'clock in the morning to 6 o'clock at night. However, if I don't arrive on a certain time, she gets super upset and super lonely. What can I do? Well, that's probably like one of the biggest things as humans. We need human interaction. It's very hard to survive without it. For example, I don't have a phone right now, and I have been doing everything to contact my friends, going on PlayStation Vita, or even just trying to occupy myself, and I found my own Game Boy. Seriously, like, that was my life back then. Sorry, I'm getting out of topic. But we need human interaction, and if we don't have human interaction, it's like a big, big deal. So, what I can really say is, the best thing that you can do is when you're leaving, alright, because I have dealt with a few women who are like this, and I completely understand why. But when you leave work, alright, call her, give her a call. If you're not in the state of Pennsylvania, sorry, as you heard, like, it's completely gumming up my works. If you don't live in the state of Pennsylvania anyway, you can make a call on the telephone while you're in the car. I don't do that. Not at all. Anyway. And, I mean, sometimes you can get her a present, you can just get her some flowers when you come home. I mean, I do that sometimes just because my mom worries about me, and when I come home late from school because I don't have my phone and it's gone, and she gets worried that I'm coming home late. Usually I'll stop by, like, the nursery or something and just pick out a rose or something. Just to say, I'm sorry I'm home late. Here you go. Sorry I couldn't give you a call. I mean, what little things like that are to them, it's like the world. And it shows them that you actually care. It's kind of like a sense of she's worried about your relationship, sort of. So pretty much take that into a lot of consideration. Um, Definitely look into just calling her and talking to her on the way home and saying that you're coming home, this is how it's going. The highway's jammed, it's wreck. Trust me, I know how that is. Um, but that's pretty much all you can do. And you have to work with her and work with her and work with her for a long, long time. It'll take a while. It'll take a long while until she gets comfortable with it again. Um, but mainly she's just worried about losing you. That's pretty much what it sounds like to me. Which, however, goes into my last inbox. Austin, my little sorry, my little 10-year-old boy has picked out a hero, and I don't understand why. He says that he's different from all the rest, but it's some hero that I don't really like right now. Sorry. Because he goes through a whole bunch of different stuff, and he goes on drugs sometimes, and he's not a very good role model for my son. How do I prevent it? And she said the name, but I'd rather not list it. But, that kind of reminds me of a time back when I used to go out with my friends and race. And we have this wonderful, wonderful thing that we used to do this for people. And it kind of reminds me of this little boy who came up to me in my last one that I ever did. And yes, I don't race anymore, I'm sorry. But the last one that I ever did. And he said that he knew me from years and years and years ago. And his name was Richard, and he was this little boy. And little stuff like that means the world to them at that age. Usually they grow out of it, but little stuff like remembering their name from years ago or just speaking to their people or whatever. I mean, I know that Lady Gaga and stuff like that at the top of their game talks to their fans, and apparently that's like a big no-no in the music world. But I know you're worried about them going on drugs and everything, but seriously, the kids never ever hear about that. We never hear about that unless it's like in the major news because they're like killing themselves now. And really the only idiot we've ever heard about is Justin Bieber, so I mean, so I really don't think you have to worry about that part of it. But mainly because of his age, he's gonna grow out of it very, very soon. I mean, if I'm completely honest, I went through like a major disposition of musics, and there were two I started out with. Which happened to be the song of Prayer of Refuge, and most of you guys will comment which band that is. And then there's Green Day, and I grew out of that very easily, and my parents my parents were not a fan of Green Day, especially with their cursing and everything, but that's not how I learned to curse. That's what public school is for. um, but they didn't like Green Day, and they didn't like any of the bands that I liked at that sort of age. But as a as you grow up, you kind of grow out of that music, and you kind of figure out which clique of music you want to be into. Sorry, I'm entertaining. Um, but it's not like they learn their stuff from them. It's kind of just like what they claim to be their hero at the time is completely different from what they'll claim to be their hero in the next 4 years. Like, okay, I claimed that my hero for a long time sorry. I claimed that my hero for a very long time was this elderly figure that I saw every time I went to the nursing home with my great grandmother. And his name was Don. And he was an old war veteran and everything else. But then, as I grew up, I met somebody else who was very much more important, and that was a man that I had met a long time ago, actually on 9/11, and he was a firefighter in 9/11 and had survived. And he's a wonderful man. He goes to I'm with the Boy Scouts. I am an Eagle Scout, if you guys didn't know that already. But he goes to the Scout troop, and he is a wonderful man. He supports all of his kids, and he supports everything that they do. But he never ever really admires that he is the way of life. Like, he's the reason why some people could survive that day. So, I mean, he doesn't acknowledge that. He likes to keep it as it is. So, anyway, people change over time. And that's pretty much all I can help you with, because if you force him not to watch it, or force him not to be with this person, or not to like this person, then he's going to rebel, and he's just going to do it anyway because he's a boy. It's just how it goes. And I did get a last minute inbox because I reloaded the page, so let me do that quick to stuff that in this. I know it's already at like 23 minutes, but just... Oh, never mind. Never mind. Sorry, I was reading into it too much. She says that her extended family has been cut off from her regular family for a very long time. She had not known that her family existed until she was the age of 12. How can I help? And she must be older by now, but I kind of have a similar situation. I mean, I have extended family out in Indiana, okay? I live in Pennsylvania, the most boring state in the world, and I have cousins who are over in Indiana, and I have little, what I call anyway, nieces and nephews over there, who are very wonderful, wonderful kids. And I had not known they existed until I was 16, 17 years old. So, I pretty much have kind of a similar situation with that. what really kind of stumped my parents is that even though that we were torn apart for all those years, you know, I'm just going to list their names because I'm going to tell them that this video is up and it's toward the end. Gloria, Tanya, and Dan, and Arthur, they're my cousins out there. And yes, it is Tanya. And they, Dan doesn't have any kids. Art has a kid. Tanya has 2 with a stepson. And Gloria has 2 with a stepson. However, what I claim to be my niece anyway. My niece, Gloria's daughter, Elena, and I are only a year apart. She is 17 and I am 18. And she's turning 18 this year, and I'm turning 19 this year. So, it was very, very rough at first, because if I'm honest, we didn't meet in the ideal situation. We met at a funeral, and it was very, very tough for the entire family. And by then I had already gotten my Eagle Scout, and Dan is an Eagle Scout as well. But keep in mind that my cousins are in like their late 20s, early 30s. And I know the girls are going to be loving me so much for just saying that they're in their 20s. So, but, either way, Elena and I connected a lot more than, Gloria or Tanya or anybody else at first, because it was like a big, big thing. Because we were just 1 year apart, we had a lot more in common. But either way, we met at a funeral, okay, and it was very bad. Everybody was very upset, and the whole thing was not going as planned. Okay? And it happened to be for my nieces and nephew's grandmother and my cousin's mom and my aunt. So it's hard to say, but after that, we were driving home. Me and my family were driving home, and I was like, well, you know what? I got all their phone numbers. I'm going to text them. So I texted them, and I sent this huge long message saying how I'm sorry I wasn't in your life before. I'm going to do my best to be in your life now. I'm going to do my best to help you guys any way I can, and hopefully I can see you guys over the summer. And actually, I am going out this summer, so I'm very, very excited. But that's besides the point. Either way, that text message in itself meant the world to them. It's kind of like saying, I love you, even though I haven't known you. Please come here and be with me right now. And it's kind of in the same sense of what you need to do. Because if you talk to them, whether it's over Facebook, over text message, over whatever, I don't care. Even if you talk to them over the phone, I talk to my niece and nephew over the phone all the time, and they're turning out to be wonderful kids. So, anyway, so pretty much what you need to do is talk with them as much as possible. If they're not open to talk with you at first, just work at it with them. They just need to get some work done. They need to be able to trust you. They need to be able to, get to know you a little better. And that's pretty much what Elena's had to do for me, if I'm honest. But as soon as I sent that message to her, um, she completely 100% turned around as a person. She was um, all upset at the funeral, so she was not thinking straight, she wasn't thinking clearly. Um, and that's part of the problem. However, when she came back, and then I had sent her that message on my way home, um, it was like she completely changed, and she said, "You know what? I'm really sorry that I was not nice to you. I'm really sorry about everything. Um, I'm really glad that you want to be in my life. I understand that you weren't able to be there before, and I understand that you had no idea that I existed." So, um, after that, we kind of just completely clicked and went off and have a great time. And now she's all excited that I'm coming out there for the third time this summer. It's really exciting. Um, but now we have such a strong bond as a family that I actually, my dad is a rock, if I'm honest. And he doesn't like talking about a lot of his personal stuff. And I got him to sit down and talk about how that family went and how that family grew up and how the kids are so good. The kids are in such great shape for depending on how their father grew up. And pretty much that's what you got to do. If it's extended family that your family has been kept from you, there's probably a reason behind it. You may not think it's a valid reason. I didn't think mine was a valid reason either. But parents are keeping you from something on purpose because there's a reason. So, and I know this is running to 32 minutes, and I'm very sorry about that because I'm making you watch through the whole thing. um, however, um, this is a very, very important topic because family will last forever, no matter what. You will always be able to go back to family. And you'll always be able to go back to your best of best friends. But if something happens, your family is probably the better bet. So you want to try to rekindle everything you can. And I mean, even though my cousins are in their like late 20s, early 30s, I'm still going over there and giving them a nice big hug and tell them that I'm there for them and doing my best to be my best as a psychology student. So, gonna try. But as a last thing out to my subscribers, I'm kind of going through a really tough thing right now, and it's kind of just like a very big personal issue. Like, I have this sickness, and it's really killing me. Anyway, but on top of that, my uncle over in Indiana, he's going through a very, very tough time right now, and he is, he has blood clots in his lungs, and he's, got all over the place. His lungs are all messed up. It's a bad thing, and so if I don't devote all my time to videos this week or the next week, I should be back in April at least, because I am going to devote at least talking to my uncle as much as I can until we have no idea what's going to happen. So that's pretty much the only thing. Otherwise, I'm very sorry that it was, what is this, going up to 35 minutes now, I think. And I really hope that you guys really take the advice of understanding that all these situations that I was faced with today are mainly very, very serious. And they're mainly very, very serious that will impact the rest of you or a loved one's life. Excuse me. And all of that aside, I am going to be doing another video this morning. It's going to be questions about me. I've gotten a bunch of inboxes about just questions about my life and everything else in my life. So be prepared for a long video because I talk. But you guys know that already. So anyway, I wish you guys a lot of good luck. And I'm really sorry that all of this is happening to you, but hopefully you take my advice and it works super well.